So here's the thing, I was actually going to upload my reaction to this episode as I typically do on Fridays when WandaVision episodes come out, but I just did not have enough footage of me reacting to upload it to YouTube. So instead I'm going to try to review this as best I can and intermingle some clips of me reacting to it as we go, but this will be a full review and slash parts of my reaction to WandaVision Season 1. Unless it gets to Season 2, which I find it unlikely, but it's plausible because, spoilers in 3, 2, 1, White Vision, aka Original Vision, is still out there. He's still alive, so that's neat. But there is one thing I wanted to address before going into this, and that was the problem of expectations versus reality. I tried my best to temper my expectations. I really did. As soon as we got to like episode 7, episode 8, I was like, there's no way that they can possibly reveal any of the stuff that was theorized. There's no secret Hayward is Ultron theory. There's no Mephisto. Unfortunately, I was rooting for that myself, but it is what it is. Underwhelming is the way I could personally describe this episode, and I don't want that to be the takeaway from this video. And I don't want you guys to think that I think you should think it's a bad show, because it isn't. I'm the guy at fault here because my expectations were so high to begin with. But if you're just like a normal person who didn't watch all these theory videos, didn't make those theory videos, then this is a great ending for you. It's satisfying. Wanda's journey of grief comes to a nice little end. Now, before I continue, I just want to mention that there are 2 after credit scenes, so if you only watched one or if you missed both, like, you should go back and watch them. I want to get to I'll try to break this up into 3 or 4 different parts of the episode. So we'll start with the Agatha versus Wanda part. The whole fight takes place where it's these mind games of Agatha having way more experience but Wanda having way more power. So I think the coldest part of the fight with Agatha and Wanda was actually when Agatha just cut the mind control from the residents of Westview. Literally, that's all she did, because they were all under Wanda's influence, which sucks. I'm sorry, I think that just sucks that they were all under Wanda's influence. And sure, yeah, Wanda was like, obviously, no, you guys are doing fine. You know, you're all so much happier now. I get it. It makes perfect sense, but I didn't personally like it because it kind of killed moments like Norm's awakening where he said, oh yeah, she's in my head. Now we know he means Wanda, where before there was a little bit of ambiguity on, oh, maybe it was Agatha that's been controlling all of the Westview residents and being in pain and stuff. And speaking of the Westview residents in pain, wow, they got dark here. Norm, he goes, you know, we have your nightmares when we go to sleep. I was like, whoa. Whoa, that's dark. That is way darker than I thought they'd go. So I thought that was awesome. When Agatha removed the mind control that Wanda had on, and the Westview residents started begging Wanda to see their families and set them free in some way, and they were like confronting their assaulter essentially, it was very powerful. And I really thought that was a much needed reality check for Wanda, because it showed like, hey man, Agatha's trying to steal your magic for obviously evil things, but like, Agatha's evil, you know? She makes no appearances to the contrary. Whereas Wanda, she's really like bought her own hype about what she's doing to these residents. And it was nice seeing that turned on her head. As for the fight between Agatha and Wanda, like the magic versus magic thing, it was really nice seeing the purple red contrast and seeing them use their different abilities, and Wanda going to All Reliable, which is the giving people nightmares with wiggly woos. And it was nice seeing Agatha actually turn that around on her in her own head, because Wanda meant to transfer Agatha to the moment at the Salem witch trials, but Agatha flipped the script on her. Like, all the witches came back in their like decrepit forms and said, you are the Scarlet Witch. So I thought that was really neat. I actually really enjoyed that, because it really shows the level of experience between the two, because Wanda's been using this trick since she first got her powers, and now it's like not working, so she had to resort to faking out Agatha by like giving her magic, while at the same time giving in some little misses here and there, and setting up a little incantation circle to prevent Agatha from using her magic and incapacitating her. And I actually have such a big problem with that, specifically that, and I'll get to why in a bit where I get to my con section of the video. There's going to be timestamps for all of this and like chapters in the timeline. If there's any part that you specifically want to see me talk about, all of the timestamps will be in the description and in the comments. So next I want to get to the Vision fight. So you have Hex Vision on one corner and White / Classic Vision on the other corner. Yeah, it was really cool fight for the couple seconds that I was there, and I thought that was a great choice. loved it. I did not want a prolonged fight between these two because it would have just been another CGI battle, kind of like a Man of Steel, Zod versus Superman battle, which I did not want to see. And I loved that they still kept the fact that Vision is not a fucking robot, but he's a synthezoid as like a huge plot point in this fight, because he's still partially organic. You know, there's human tissue interlaced with the vibranium, and it shows that Vision is still a rational thinking being. He's not a robot that's enslaved to his programming. And I appreciated the conversation, you know, with the ship of Theseus, where they ponder on who exactly is the real Vision, and they come to the conclusion that they both are. So you have Hex Vision actually awakening the White Vision's memories, and White Vision goes somewhere to like reflect on them, I guess. But White Vision's out there. He survived. He's like out in the world. And so is Wanda, which is actually making me think, now that I'm saying it out loud, that there might actually be a season 2 where instead of this like fake reality, Vision having to come to terms with the fact that like he died twice and Wanda reanimated a version of him from her memory and made this fake world with, and then that fake version was the one that kind of freed him. So I'm guessing he must have conflicted feelings. But I wonder how and where he could return, because typically Wanda and Vision appear in Avengers movies or team-up movies like in Age of Ultron or Civil War. But here, I don't know how they're going to go moving forward, because we're obviously going to see Wanda in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, but we're not going to see Vision in Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. So I'm wondering when we're going to see White Vision again, and when he and Wanda are going to have their moment. Now, I really loved that discussion, and it reminded me a lot of the discussion that Vision had when he was newly born, that he had with the last Ultron bot. And for everybody hoping that Ultron would come back in some way, me too. A little bit. Just a little bit. I would have loved if they had James Spader come back, because his Ultron was so underrated. A part of me wants to go back and just like review Age of Ultron from a standpoint of this thing aged like wine, and I genuinely believe it did. It is the most criminally like overhated MCU movie, and I think it deserves its justice. Now, the third part that I want to get to is the Monica / the twins part, and I'm combining these two because they're both pretty short on their own. So Monica was in the after credit scene where Evan Peters' Pietro character said Snooper's going Snoop, so we find out what happens next. He still has Pietro's powers, and he takes Monica and traps her in his man cave, and he's very much a dude bro kind of guy, but he still has Agatha's programming and Pietro's powers, so Wanda isn't really allowed to leave because he can just hit her with that super speed flick and knock her back. She manages to get the upper hand a little bit, and she manages to free him of Agatha's mind control. Now, an interesting thing, and this is again another thing that I have issue with that I will mention again later in the video where I get to the stuff that I didn't like about the episode, it turns out that he was Ralph, and Ralph was just an actor who owned the house that Agatha was living in. As for the twins, they're sweet, you know. They help with the fight. You know, Wiccan's using his powers, Speed's using his powers. I thought it was stone cold that Hayward just took out a gun and tried to kill them dead. He didn't even hesitate. He shot multiple times. He really wanted to kill them. Speaking of the Hayward Jimmy part of the episode, I love Jimmy Woo, man. He's a sweetheart. He's so funny. Like, he's genuinely funny. And I love also that he's very committed to his job, and that even in universe, they know that what Hayward is doing is not legal. Like, he's going to jail for this, and Hayward is straight up a villain. He's just a villain. Like, there's no like nuance to his character or anything like that. They didn't even touch on or explore the trauma and paranoia that led him to doing all this. They just kind of said, oh yeah, he's just a mustache twirling Stark villain, because that's what Hayward really is. All the worst parts of like Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2, I guess. I don't know. Was it Iron Man 2? It was probably Iron Man 2. And Nick Fury. It was all the worst parts. It was all the paranoia without any of the nuance, and all of the suit twirling goofiness of Justin Hammer it was just Justin Hammer. And it ends with Darcy kind of satisfyingly ramming the car into him before he's able to do anything else. So I like that. He lost his weapon, he lost his job, and he's probably going to jail. And the first after credit scene opens up with him being arrested. So the second to last thing I want to mention before I get into the emotional journey of Wanda and how the show ended for her is the after credit scenes. Only because I want to like briefly touch on them, because I also had issue with them. So the first one, because there are two. First one was where a Skrull shows up and tells Monica that Nick Fury wants to see her in his space station that we saw at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, setting up either Secret Invasion or Captain Marvel 2, or both. And the second after credit scene is cutting to Wanda in the mountains in seclusion. But it was interesting to see that Wanda chose seclusion as like her kind of self-punishment / meditation to like really process her grief in a very let me enslave an entire town kind of way. And hot take, Wanda cleaned up that fucking town. It's one man's opinion. Also, the sun's coming up behind me because I'm shooting this at I started shooting this at like 5:30 in the morning, and I watched the episode like way earlier. I will say that this after credit scene did redeem itself a little bit by showing that Wanda kind of used her astral form. I'm assuming it was her astral form, like in Doctor Strange, where he uses his astral form to perform surgery on himself, or help perform surgery on himself, to read the Darkhold. And this is part of my reaction that I want to show you guys. I said this in my reaction.
Chapter devoted to you in the Darkhold. That's the book of the damned.
It is the Darkhold. Hey, man, if this isn't Kevin Feige kind of backhandedly telling everybody that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't canon, I don't know what is. Now, I thought that was really funny, and I stand by that statement. So finally, we get to Wanda's emotional journey ending, and it was heartbreaking. Straight up, it was so sad watching her have to kind of come to terms with the fact that she has to end this hex and set this town free. But to do that, she has to give up Vision and her kids. Wanda and Vision exchange this really sweet moment between them where they tuck in their kids, and they give this like really emotional goodbye and see each other off, and Wanda's left where she stood when she first created the hex and starts to get out of town, where she's going to Monica to say she's sorry, and then she goes off, now fully having unlocked her Scarlet Witchness costume and all. And I love her costume. They nailed the costume. I love it. If you saw the original Scarlet Witch costume, it's totally bizarre and it would not translate well on screen. I think we saw a version of it in the Halloween episode, but her real, like her comic book one is it's good that they went in the direction that they went with. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I understand that maybe the reason I'm so underwhelmed is because I had such high expectations from watching all these videos and theories and speculations about, oh, it could be this or that. You know, Reed Richards is the aerospace engineer. It could be Doctor Doom. Doctor Strange is coming. A lot of I tried my very best, you know, these last couple days, especially after the director's interview where he said, hey guys, please manage your expectations. And Paul Bettany yesterday coming out and saying, and I'm sorry, and, you know, they both kind of gave a version of an apology. And I really, really tried my best to temper my expectations. I really did. I didn't want to completely lower them because you never want to give that to a show, you know. You never want to you always want, as a fan, you always want to have your socks blown off. You want to enjoy yourself. I don't think you should give artists complete carte blanche to like suck. But I tried to manage my expectations to a reasonable level, and even with all of that, the comic book fan in me kind of sobbed a little bit because we didn't get to see all those cool moments. It just ended up being a very straightforward-ish MCU ending, and I think we all should have seen it coming after episode 4. Episode 4 is when we kind of transitioned from this like weird psychological horror aspect that WandaVision really, you know, encapsulated all of us with, and then transitioned it slowly into a semi-typical MCU story, you know, kind of gave us that Thor plotline a little bit where it starts off really mystical and then you transition into like S.H.I.E.L.D. setting up their barricades on Earth. But the problem that I personally find is that this makes for a really underwhelming experience as somebody who really appreciates the comic books, and even somebody who really just appreciates the MCU movies, because we've gotten these big teases before. You know, the first Thanos tease was in 2012, the first Avengers movie. You know, that was 7 or 8 years of, you know, teasing, and this is supposed to be teasing up and setting up the next phase of Marvel, phase 5, I think, or phase 4, and all we got was, you know, Scarlet Witch reading the Darkhold. It was cool, but the implication from I want to learn more about my powers is, oh hey, there's this Sorcerer Supreme that Agatha Harkness mentioned, and hey, I happen to know him on some level, or at least I can get access to him. Let me learn from the best sorcerer on the planet. But no, where's the disconnect here? Why is Doctor Strange just just fucking off, not dealing with the fact that there's this like magical anomaly for days on end? Agatha just sensed it in the ether and she went over there. What's the problem here? What am I not understanding? But that's the only thing that actually makes me angry. Otherwise, I'm just underwhelmed. As for the kids, I didn't even think they were gonna kill them off for like practical reasons. They want to have the Young Avengers. Wiccan and Speed are part of the Young Avengers. You know, they're mainstays. So I'm glad that they teased them coming back when Wanda hears their voices in like the ether when she's like studying the Darkhold. And I'm hoping that they do come back because they are, like I said, an important part of the Avengers. Like I said, I'm also bothered by Hayward being another generic, corporate bad guy. I hoped he was Mephisto in disguise. I hope that would be the after credit scene, or Ultron in disguise, something, not this generic suited bad guy. I don't like that. I think that's lame. Also, there's this like plot hole that's just aggravating me because it makes no sense whatsoever. So is Wanda mind controlling Agatha to be Agnes again, or is she hexing her to be? Because there's a difference. Mind controlling, you wouldn't change form, but she changed Agatha's look back into Agnes as well. So when she took down the hex, she had to have undone that spell, unless it was an independent spell. In that case, why can't Wanda just localize her spell as like a mini storm cloud or whatever to her family members if she's like doing it to torture Agatha? What is that, huh? Like, what kind of... That is so stupid. Like, how is Wanda, like, cursing Agnes at the same time and having to take down this hex? I need to calm down. Overall, it was still a satisfying ending. It was a good show. I'll definitely be rewatching it here and there. I enjoyed the fight scenes. Wiccan and Speed using their powers was really cute and charming. I hope they come back. I hope that we get an explanation as to why Doctor Strange was just sitting on his hands. I'm looking forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki. I will be doing kind of an episode tier list of WandaVision because I do think that there were some stellar episodes and not so stellar episodes. And lastly, I kind of almost want to do a how hype killed WandaVision video, and I think I'm going to. I need to, because the way I'm feeling now, and I think the more I think about it over the next couple days, I will be having these thoughts come up and writing them down and disseminating them into one video. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're liking this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Let me know what you thought of WandaVision, honestly. I want to see if I'm the asshole here. So let me know what you thought of WandaVision. Did it meet your expectations? Are you happy? Are you sad? How do you feel? Let me know in the comments below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.